The word out on the street is that it's still really difficult, to attract foreign investors into the country because of the level of uncertainty around the currency and, the policies. But I tell you, you also hear this morning that the United Kingdom is not giving up on Nigeria. They are still looking for ways to foster closer ties when it comes to trade. I wish they would set up here. But I'll tell you all about that. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. I'm John Mekwa. Let's start from the commodity space. That's oil. Globally, it fell on Friday after a U.S. Fed official said that interest rate cuts should be delayed at least 2 more months before indications of healthy demand and concerns over supplies could boost prices in the coming days. Brent crude futures were down 38 cents, that's about 0.5% at $83.29 for a barrel, while US Texas, we see also was down 0.5% at $78.22. US Fed Reserve policymakers should delay interest cuts by at least another couple of months to see if a recent uptick in inflation signals a stalling progress towards price stability or is just a bump in the road. Higher interest rate for longer, slow economic growth, which could curb oil demand in the world's largest oil consumer. But some analysts say demand has remained largely healthy, including in the United States. The United States Central Bank has held its policy rate steady between 5.25% and 5.5% range since last July. And minutes of its policy meeting last month show most central bankers were worried about moving too quickly to ease policy. Still in the global space now for the grain, Chicago corn and soybean futures edge higher on Friday with bargain buying lifting prices after both markets dropped to their lowest levels in 3 years, although plentiful supplies are likely to limit gains. Wheat, we see rose for a second session in supply as on supply gains. As potential U.S. sanctions against top global wheat exporter Russia could hit flows. Wheat we see right there up 0.5% at $5.82 for a quarter of a bushel. Looking at other crops now, corn also was up 0.4% to $4.20 for a quarter of a bushel, having gained almost 1% this week. And then we also see corn and soybean prices drop to their lowest levels since last 2020. Expectations of higher corn and soybeans production in top South American producers as Brazil and Argentina are weighing on Chicago futures. Argentina's corn and soybean crops continue to improve because of recent rains. And Argentina's Rosario Grains Exchange cuts its estimate this week for the country's 2023-2024 soybean and corn harvest. But the 49.5 million metric tons of soy and 57 million metric tons of corn are still a huge improvement from the previous year. We come to Nigeria now. The United Kingdom continues its drive to connect the Nigeria and UK markets. This time, its approach is bringing 9 known businesses from the United Kingdom into Nigeria so the representatives can observe the trade environment, consumers' taste, and connect directly with them. Officials of the Department of Business and Trade Mission have created a platform for exhibition for the invited business, and there's an opportunity for Nigerian business and consumers also to explore and partner with their counterparts from the UK.
So what was meant to be an explorer mission has now turned out to be a proper trade mission where people are building partnerships, people are finding distributors. So it has been very, very positive. The economic realities in Nigeria are not has not changed because of this mission, but then definitely we can see that there's a keen interest. And as I said, I'm with the Department for Business and Trade, and what my department does is facilitate trade between the UK and Nigeria. So for us, this is a welcome establishment. If we can trade, if you can move goods from Nigeria to the UK and you can move goods from the UK to Nigeria, then definitely the economy would become better. In terms of foreign investment, with this particular delegation, definitely we see the possibility of investment from the UK into Nigeria. So take, for instance, for the likes of the retailer like Cartel Watches that are thinking of setting up shop in country. They want to come in country. They want to be able to. That's you putting money into the country, right? We have a brand that is not here today on this mission, but it's a brand that is popular. It's called The Body Shop, and we're working on a partnership. And they're also thinking of coming and setting up shop in Lagos and Abuja. So it's all very positive.
Well, I have to say, setting up shop in Nigeria for trade is different from direct investments, which is setting up the factory right here. That's what Nigeria is asking for. This might just be FPI, just portfolio investment. Anything happens, the shop goes off, and then the owners take away their money. But I'm sure the Nigerian Missions and Trade Investment Ministry are looking into the details of this to ensure that even as the UK comes to Nigeria and they show interest, that it will be for the good of Nigeria's economy and not just, for trade. Now, stakeholders' engagement towards a successful Nigeria energy transition organized by the Nigeria Economic Summit Group alongside the African Climate Foundation. That is another meeting. The meeting calls for attention to the role of private sector in the carbon market as the world moves towards green energy sources. However, the private sector have also been talking, and they say they have challenges which deter an accelerated move to embrace the needed change.
Want to hear, you can't find the women, just Nigeria.
The core message is that the private sector has a significant role to play in climate action in Nigeria, more so than even the public sector. While the public sector is important in setting the targets and the commitments, nothing can be achieved without active involvement of private sector players.
One of the things that we've seen are the challenges that the private sector are facing. We've seen they've mentioned a whole lot in terms of capacity deficiency. So what it implies that there is need for us to develop tailor-made programs that can support them in understanding the landscape so that they can play their role as the players in the sectors.
Yeah, clean energy for everyone. But the hurdles to be crossed are still there. Now let's go to real estate, where real estate and financing experts have identified urbanization and growing middle class in Nigeria as indices that present opportunities for developers and untapped potential for domestic and foreign investors to inject capital into the real estate market. Well, this formed the crux of deliberations at the second edition of the annual WEMA Board 2024 Real Estate Outlook, which was in Lagos. Speakers and participants also say investment diversification, technological innovation, policy reform, and adoption of financing options are some of the strategies that could help industry players navigate the volatility in the real estate markets.
Bankers, investors, real estate, top executives.
For the second consecutive year, WEMA Board, a leading real estate and property development company, pulls together experts in the real estate sector to evaluate the impact of the microeconomy on the industry.
For this 2024 edition,
for WEMA Board, the discourse is important considering economic disruptions and volatility.
The real estate market has struggled due to shortage of investment capital. By implementing sound fiscal and monetary policies and creating a favorable investment climate, we can still attract investors and drive growth.
In his keynote address, Biodun Adedipe, renowned investment and financial consultant, provides in-depth understanding of the fluctuating economic conditions impacting the real estate market and how investors and industry players could take advantage of available opportunities.
There are still some things we need to interrogate and change in our policy environment to make portfolio investments to come. And my recommendation is this, of course, the panelists will also deal with this issue, that we need to fix the exchange rate officially within a defined band. In terms of looking forward, you must interrogate your strategic plan, if you have one. Then relentlessly re-engineer your business processes and get involved with and strengthen sector advocacy.
We call it very delicate balancing act.
A panel of experts and guests, including the chairman of Odua Investment Company Limited, Bimbo Ashiru, and the chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, who participated virtually, shared their views on issues presented and strategies to drive growth of the real estate.
By investing in real estate in Nigeria, even as it is now, it's not charity. is a good investment, and we keep encouraging them to do that. And on our part, what we're trying to do as a commission is also encourage them with mortgage. So we're working with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to say, for the diaspora, you can get a 50 million mortgage loan. So you can, for instance, buy a Wema board house.
As we embark on this journey together, let us remember the importance of collaboration and knowledge sharing by fostering an environment of innovation and cooperation. We can collectively navigate the challenges ahead and unlock the full potential of real estate market.
We also have to start thinking about projects. They may be huge, but we also have to start thinking about them to take it in piecemeal.
We have about 22 million housing deficit like that. But when you look at it critically, they are from the bottom down. And unless you change your laws, you change your ways, you change your innovation, that will remain the same for a long time to come.
With so much said about the volatility and opportunities in the real estate sector, how is Wema Board ready to champion the cause of shaping these opinions into solutions?
Wema Board is ready to champion that cause, including relating with state governments, federal government agencies, and coming out of this meeting, that will be our next steps, and it will be very fast.
I'm sure through channels and some other media, government will also feel our pulse. We hear what we are saying, we hear our cry, that a disaster has to be declared in the housing sector.
I had a representative of Knight Frank, the most consistent real estate services.
One of the highlights of the event is the recognition and presentation of awards to some organizations who have made significant impact and contribution to the growth of the real estate industry.
Okay, that's the entire...
Whether it's FDI or FPI, that's direct investment or portfolio investment, Nigeria is working on all fronts to attract foreign investors and foreign capital into the country. So, well, apart from that real estate, we're going to discuss more about real estate at 1 p.m. So you want to join me for Business Incorporated to see about real estate funding and perhaps opportunities right there. Housing is one of the basic needs of life, so not just in Nigeria, everywhere. So perhaps it's a good platform to attract those investments. But join me 1 p.m. for Business Incorporated, and we'll do that. Now, talking about FBI, FDI, let's talk about that this morning. And joining me to discuss that is Mr. Sonny Ofeye. He's the Executive Assistant on External Relations and Diaspora Affairs to the Delta State Governor. Good morning, Mr. Ofeye, and thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking a lot about FPI, FDI. We saw the UK, the trade mission, were here yesterday, and they're trying to, they're promising us that some of those big brands, mostly elite brands, are coming to set up shop here. And I'm saying that's just like FPI, because, I mean, they're just here to sell. You know, we need people who would come and invest in the soil, who would have manufacturing and all of that. And then we also have Wema Board, talking about the real estate. We saw the diaspora boss, Nitcom boss right there. Yeah. You know, talking about how to attract those foreign investors and funds into the country. But at a time when the Naira is falling, we don't know what we're going to wake up to the next day, in spite of the efforts of the government, in spite of pronunciation or pronoun directive. At a time when we see trucks of food being hijacked, you understand, by hungry Nigerians. How easy is this job? I mean, you people are the one there. You are for the Delta State government, obviously concerning Nigeria. How easy or difficult is it for you to sell Nigeria at this time?
Well, it is both easy and difficult because Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa with a huge population of about 200 million. And for any economic advantage, you need the numbers. In the last 3 weeks, I've been to 9 cities and 4 countries in Europe. Even though the numbers are not favoring Nigeria in terms of attracting foreign direct investment into the country, there is still this enthusiasm among European investors to come. And that is what even the British government have seen by bringing in their investors. So But
do they want to come to sell? Or they want to come to stay?
I really don't know what they're doing. But what I know is
the people you are talking to.
Yes, we're not coming to sell. We've been able to attract investment. I was in Stockholm. We're talking currently with the Swedish Export Credit Bank. They're ready to put in investment in our oil and gas sector. So we're looking at a 20,000 barrel production of crude oil in Baramatu Kingdom, which is a very ideal location for any kind of investment in the oil and gas industry. You know, it's just 1 kilometer away from Chevron facility, and then it's 2 kilometers into the Atlantic Ocean. And then we have 2 major manifolds, the crude oil manifold and the gas manifold right there. And then, of course, because it's close to the sea, vessels can come in no matter how deep, how the height of their draft. And we're also looking at, I was in Milan, there are Italian investors who want to come in and set up a mega city. So it's going to be a city within a city. We know that power is a problem in this country. We know that infrastructure is a problem in this country. But the technology they're bringing in will use hydro capacity to be able to, with solar, to be able to generate power. And what they're doing now is that they want to look into building a minimum of 2,500 homes, so it will have a police station and all that, and they have earmarked. The bank is ready to finance them, $395 million in this investment. Now, I was also in in Germany, where we have a German agro-tractor company that is also coming to Delta State to set up their assembly plant. And this is also attracting over 200 million. So when I got this appointment, I told my boss, my governor, that by the end of 2024, I will attract a minimum of $1 billion into our economy. And we are already...
By the end of 2024,
yes,
we're in
yes,
2024.
No, you can hold me responsible. Bring me here December.
So what should we see, by 2024 to be sure that, your promise has been kept? By the end of 2020, do we see the physical structure?
The offtake of, for instance, the tractor project, according to even the investors' timeline, will even kick off from June. That's the reason I'm here. I had a meeting with my governor 2 days ago. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the secretary to the government where I put all these things on the table. I am going back by the weekend to bring all of them into Delta State to do feasibility study. The funds are already available to do a sort of like to look at the location to see which of the location will meet the standard. Now, the beauty of it is that we have a forest crisis in this country. Most of the investors are even leaving. For instance, Unilever is gone, and that's a Dutch company. And P&G is also going. That's a UK company. And Equinor is leaving. That's a Norwegian company. And these 3 countries are European countries. So it's supposed to be a challenge for people like us who are selling Delta State, selling Nigeria to European investors. However, the government of Europe, in order to mitigate in order to challenge the Chinese influence into the African economy, are also using credit lines to support their multinational companies to go out there, particularly to third world countries where Nigeria falls into, and do business. Now, the reason why my governor is focusing on infrastructural development in Delta State, because this is the critical sector you have to look into. In the first 100 days in office, he's gave out a huge contract to Las Vegas.
Let's not get political.
No, it's not political. This is the reality on the ground.
Let me ask.
That's why I can speak about investments. That's why I can tell the world that they can come to Delta State.
All right. So we've seen in a lot of situations in the country where we see foreign investors coming to the country. We've seen some companies operating in the country. But it seems the government missed out some fine lines that would challenge those companies to maximize the benefit to the people. For instance, the quota of employment, to ensure that the locals are given priority. Repatriation of funds. These are issues that even though we have multinationals in the country, they've not been able, or we have not been able to maximize the benefits from them.
Well, that is why at the beginning of every roundtable discussion, when investors are coming in, community relationship with those investors is critical. to peace and security of that investment. Because as a government, apart from providing the enabling environment, your emphasis should be that you secure those investments and then you guarantee the investment in a way that the investor will be able to repatriate their funds. Look at what is happening in the aviation industry. I flew into this country with Air France. It was practically empty. And a time will come if we don't deal with the issue of the aviation fund that the CBN has not been, their own money that they've not been able to repatriate.
But we are working on
stop.
that.
For how long are we going to work on that when the Naira is on a free fall? Now you cannot even rely. I mean, that's one of the disadvantages when you want to come in as an investor. There's no Forex. The Naira, it's not predictable. And there is nobody in the government at the national level that is coming to breathe some air of confidence into the economy. And that is sad. So what we need to do now is to look back, go back to the drawing board, look at our true potential in the way of our natural resources, our human capital development, and use that as a tool to sell ourselves. Look at our solid mineral, for instance. Nobody's even talking about exploiting the potential that we have in that area. Look at our coastline, for instance. We hold the highest coastline among the whole of the sub-Saharan African country within the Gulf of Guinea. We are not taking advantage of the potential that can come in from blue economy. I mean, the world is moving from fossil fuel to renewables, and there are many investments within this value chain that we can tap into and use it to not only bring in technological education for our people, and also create jobs and therefore increase our internally generated revenue. I heard you talk about capital importation. Critical in this time of our economic challenges. So what I think we should do now, particularly at the national level, is to ensure that every ministry begin to look into the potential of each of the ministry. And by the time we combine them together, we can still get our place on the global economic stand, which I am very optimistic about. That's why I am doing what I am doing.
Okay, so you've given us a challenge that by the end of this year, we can call you back and we would see pictures and evidence, you know,
yes. Yes.
of all those mouth-watering investments
I want to reiterate it, and thank God enough, I am dealing with somebody who is ready to accept all of this, because I can bring all of that, but if my governor is not interested in that, it will not fly. I am going back now extraordinarily confident that these investors will come in, because I'm from Delta State. I am a diaspora. I've lived in the country.
Nigeria, yes. So bring them to Lagos.
Yes. No, from there, one thing I must make clear is that all of the investment coming to Delta State are not serving Deltans alone. They are using Delta State as a hub, not only for Nigeria, but for sub-Saharan Africa.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mr. Sonny Ofeke, the Executive Assistant on External Relations and Diaspora Affairs to the Delta State Governor.
So thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right, so very interesting there. We hope all of that come to pass. Employment and capital importation would be well boosted, even if it's just in Delta State, to spread to other parts. Let's do a little bit of market now before we hand over. Yesterday was a negative market for the NGX. We see it down again, 0.12%. Equities cap also down. But I'd like to focus on the fixed income market. We haven't talked about that bond that happened 2 days ago. There you have it for the federal government bonds. They had 45 deals worth 32.59%. And we see that the February 2034 security was most favored right there, 2034 right there. But let's talk to Ifeoma Onyejekwe now. Ifeoma, good morning. I've been looking forward to this conversation because of that auction that took place 2 days ago, and the longest of that was a 1 year. I was made to expect that we would have more foreigners participate in that, because foreigners would like the short term securities, and there we see it was 364, 90 days and all of that. How was it? How much of foreign participation did we have?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So yes, the bond auction a few days ago was very, very interesting. And we did not have as much foreign participation as expected, because it was a combination of low liquidity as well as rate competition. So we can see that inflation is at a 28-year high of 29.9%, and the interest rate when it also factor in currency devaluation, the market players, they were not really comfortable investing, locking in, their investments for such a long time, because the longer tenure was offered at 19%, same as the 1-year treasury bill. So it really didn't make sense for investors to go and lock in 5-7 years at that rate. Meanwhile, you can also get a 1-year bill at the same rate. So a combination of low liquidity in the market as well as stock rate caused the GMO to struggle to raise that 2.25 trillion in March.
Talk to us about the yields. I think it was between 17 and 17.5. How was that accepted? The other one for the upper week was up to 19%.
Yes, so we saw that the subscription as well as allocation was way more than offered. What was offered at the previous auction was 205 billion. Meanwhile, over 1 trillion was allocated. And yes, like I said before, it makes much more sense for an investor to get in as much high risk as possible than to lock in their investment for longer term. But we have the MPC coming up next week, and our market also expects the CBN to raise rates to more than 200 to 300 basis points. So if that happens, you will see that the fixed income space will increase when it comes to it.
Yeah, but there's always a time lag. So we have MPC on Monday and Tuesday. We expect to get the decision announced on Tuesday. How soon do you see this sipping into the market, maybe gaining more investors' confidence?
Yeah, when it comes to the MPC meeting at the end of the month, so the next auction, we will surely see, supposing that they go ahead to raise rates, we'll see an influx of more investment next month at the next auction. So we just have to wait, because people are more cautious. It's better for you to wait and then invest at higher rates rather than for you to lock in your investment and see that next auction, the stock rates are much higher than you expect.
All right. When is the next auction, Informa, so we can get ready for it?
It normally takes the third week of a month, so we're expecting the third week of month of March.
All right. Thank you so much, Ifeoma Oyejekwe from UBA Group. Thank you for your time this morning. All right, Chamberlain, Maokwe, and Ayo, I asked that last question for you, so you can get your funds ready to get into the market. The fixed income market is a safe market, so you can get ready to go into the market and make some money from there. Back to you guys.